Welcome into the Raiders Dynasty review, looking at what's changed since the 2023 season for the Raiders. Yeah, they, finished 8-9. They finally made the decision a few days ago, maybe last week. Antonio Pierce is their guy, the guy who took over as the interim coach. So we'll see how that goes. They definitely played a lot better when he took over. Their defense was a lot better. I think Max Crosby gave him an ultimatum too, like either you bring him in as head coach or I want to trade. So, anyways, Brian, when you think of the Raiders, outside of all the Raider fans we know, what do you, how do you think they look from 2023 and beyond?
I don't know. It's just like, just had to quote Dad there for a second.
Yeah.
They're just like the Broncos, like as far as like, obviously same division and just like, oh, there's some hope here that they can be more fantasy relevant, I guess. I don't know if that was necessarily true for this last year, but it's just kind of like, whatever, man. Like, that's just how I feel about them. Just like not excited for a lot from them. That's for sure.
No, that's, yeah. I mean, I think they're going to be a solid, tough to beat NFL team this year. We'll see about fantasy. A lot's going to ride on the quarterback, so we'll get into that. They do have some decent cap space, $43 million, 11th most. They have 9 draft picks, including their top 4. Well, it keeps going. But anyways, they got 3 in the top 77. They got the 13th, the 44th, and the 77th pick. So some good draft picks there. Free agents, the big one is Josh Jacobs at running back. They could franchise tag him again. We'll see. Amir Abdullah, DeAndre Carter, Austin Hooper. These guys aren't really that important. It's really just Josh Jacobs. So we'll get into that in just a bit. But yeah, whether or not this team's going to be good fantasy-wise is really going to ride on the quarterback position. Obviously, Aiden O'Connell was the guy at the end of the year, and he was, he looked like, I think he was a 5th round. He looked like a 5th round rookie. Like, he showed some signs of like, oh, like he can do okay, but he's severely limited. Guys like Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. And I don't know if they roll with him as their quarterback, could they win 9 games, 10 games? Yeah. Is it going to be great for fantasy? Probably not. Are they going to win the Super Bowl? I don't think so. So I think they look to make an upgrade. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo is still there. We'll see how that plays out. I should double check. I think I checked his contract and they don't have an out. So I don't know what they can do. Yeah, they don't have an out on him yet. Maybe they can trade him. Who knows? Both those guys should be rostered. Any hope that either one's going to be a starting quarterback for the Raiders or for another team, or what are you thinking with these two?
Sorry, I got distracted when you said, are they going to win the Super Bowl? I just had to look up, what are the odds of the Raiders winning the Super Bowl next year? It's plus 10,000. So
there you go.
Bet $100, win 10,000 if they win the Super Bowl next year. All right, so sorry, we're talking about Garoppolo and O'Connell.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely holds at this point. Like, are you treating O'Connell as like a starter, or are you treating Garoppolo as the starter, or like,
no?
How are you valuing these guys?
Basically, as quarterback 3s, like maybe not even that high. I mean, definitely O'Connell over Garoppolo, just given like the youth and stuff like that. And like, I don't think Jimmy is going to be like their guy. Like, I don't think anyone necessarily thought that he was going to be their guy long term, but we definitely thought he was going to be a little bit better than he was this last year, as far as like for the team and everything like that. And he actually got hurt, right? They didn't just bench him.
He got hurt, but then they benched him essentially because they didn't give him his job back.
Yeah, so I'd rather have O'Connell easily over Garoppolo. I see that O'Connell is basically being valued as like a mid-3rd round pick, or Tank Bigsby or Rashad Bateman. Those are like the players.
Definitely take him over those guys.
Yeah, easily. So I don't know if you can actually get that done, but I would try and float that out there if you want O'Connell. If you don't have a quarterback 3 on your team in Superflex, then I would definitely be trying to acquire him on the cheap. Not that I think he's going to be necessarily good, but I think he's worth that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That being said, Jimmy Garoppolo is like not even worth a 2024 fourth, according to Keep Trade Cut. He's a 2025 or 26 fourth. Wow. I would definitely throw a 4th round pick and just grab Jimmy Garoppolo and be like, yeah, this guy could find a spot somewhere, like, or he could be the starter for the Raiders, or like I would do that. Just like I would do that with Drew Lock, with Sam Darnold, guys like that. Like I would throw 4th round picks and hope, even if they start 7 games next year, you just got your value for your 4th round pick. So
yeah, Trey Lance is 8 spots ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I made a. Yeah. I mean, he's another guy I would throw a 4th round pick at. By the way, I mean that buy low candidate guys, and he was one of them. Just like, yeah, this guy's gonna get. Not. I don't want to spend time on Trey Lance, but he's gonna get a shot. Yeah. But yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, both those guys. I think this is a good candidate, like a sneaky candidate. I heard it. Someone mentioned this. I can't remember where, and I thought it was a really good point. This is sneaky for like a Justin Fields, them trading for like Justin Fields, because this team wants to run the hell out of the ball. If you look at when Antonio Pierce took over, they were running the ball. They were giving Jacobs 30 carries. They were giving Zamir White 25 carries. Like they want to run the hell out of the ball. Justin Fields feels like he would fit this Raiders team like perfectly in what they want to do. So, and we talked about it, Russell Wilson maybe coming here. Maybe there's rumors around that too. So, sneaky candidate, I think, to even draft someone. They're in that range to get, we don't know where the QB4 is going to go yet. They could fall to the late first round. We don't know. So they're in that range.
Yeah. Sure. And they're actually kind of a good analog for the Bears. If Fields did go there, it's like, I know we haven't talked about Josh Jacobs, but let's say like he is actually gone and it's Zamir White like heading the backfield and plus some other guys. So it's like not a strong run game outside of the quarterback kind of a thing. You got your number 1 wide receiver in Devontae Adams, and then you have kind of a young, good prospect at tight end, who I know we'll get into all these guys, but yeah, the teams seem kind of similar in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, transitioning into the running backs, Josh Jacobs, free agent. It feels like they're going to bring him back. They loved him. Antonio Pierce was telling him, "You're our guy. You're our guy." And he didn't play the last 4 weeks. Could he have if they were in a playoff run? Maybe. But obviously, Josh Jacobs is he's one of those interesting guys where, what is he? RB16 right now. He's not. I'm just seeing what a pick equivalent. So like the 201, the 202. I don't know. Would you trade Josh Jacobs for the 201, the 202 this year?
No, I don't think so. I think I'd rather just keep him, honestly. I think, like he's still like relatively young. I know it seems like he's been around forever. Like even if he's not on the Raiders, like I think he'll still be fantasy relevant no matter where he goes. He's back to back with Javonte, right? It's like I think I mentioned that. It's like I'd rather have Josh Jacobs than Javonte Williams at this point.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't trade him for that.
Yeah, so that was the point I was getting at, where it's like if I can get any first for him in any year, I probably would, just because again the optics of a first round pick, and what you can get with that later on. Especially sitting here in January. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't know if I would take an early second for him for 2 reasons. One, if I'm going to compete, I want him. But also, I think his value could go up. I think he still could be worth a first round pick. If I can't get one for him, he could, in October, he could be worth a first round pick or something, because he's on the Raiders and he has the most touches out of any NFL running back. So, Yeah, I kind of agree with you there for both sides of the coin.
Yeah. The franchise tag in 2024 for a running back is 12.5 million, basically. So I think he's worth it, and they have cap space. So
yeah, I think there's a multiplier when they franchise tag him twice.
yeah, there is actually. That's right. It's either the tag or like 125% of their previous contract, something like that. So that actually might be the bigger number. Yeah, actually, it definitely would be, right? Because he was tagged this year. So what was the tag this year? It was 10 million. Oh, so it's right around the same, actually. 125% of 10 million. I don't even know if that's the actual number. So yeah, we don't have to spend any more time on that.
Yeah.
But it should be right around there.
Yep. And then Zamir White, like if someone wants to give you value because they think Zamir White's the number one running back for the Raiders right now, I'll take it. But other than that, I'm just holding him because I think, we saw that he could at least carry the workload. And what was he, a top 10, 12 running back to end the year last year or in 2023? So
are you taking any second for him, or does it have to be mid or higher?
I would take like anywhere from like the 207 and up. Maybe not after that. After that, I'd probably just hold on. Because again, he could be the guy, and what if Jacobs gets hurt and they could just use him this year, both of them,
Yeah, I think that's an example of what you call the re-roll, right? It's like that's probably where he was drafted as a rookie 2 years ago, like probably in that mid-second round. And we're 2 years in. We did see some flashes from him, and he has the potential to be the guy. So I don't know. I guess it depends on where your team is, Like if you're definitely not competing or anything like that, you might as well just take the pick. But if you think you even have like a slight chance, I think he's I'd rather have him than like that pick kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no one else to talk about in the running back room. For the receivers, obviously, it's Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers is one of my like buy lows last year, and it looked like it hit basically until Aiden O'Connell took over at quarterback, and then he couldn't support two guys. There's rumors of Devontae being traded. I don't think they're gonna do that with like Antonio Pierce now as the head coach. Like, feels like they're not going to go into full rebuild mode necessarily, especially if they can get a quarterback. So I still think Devontae Adams is a really good player. Well, he had to have finished top 15 last year in points or something.
Yeah, I see him at 11 in our league.
Okay,
so that's probably between 11 or that's between 10 and 13, basically.
11 in half PPR.
Okay.
And he had inconsistent games, just like any quarterback playing with a second string player or a young player or a rookie and all that. So he had a couple blow up games, a couple duds. Still think he's really good. What is he? 29, going to be 30. This next.
He's 31 right now.
He's 31 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think he was that old, but
he just turned 31. If that makes it any better.
Yeah, I mean, he could still be a top 20 receiver, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I want to trade for him right now, unless I can get him. If you're a contender, what would you give up for him right now on January 26th?
Well, I see him valued as the pick 201 or Javonte Williams. I would give up either one of those for it. It's like I think it's kind of funny how they have 2025 late first. It's like, wow, you better be really confident at that point, that's what you're gonna have. I don't know how they even have that as a thing. Yeah, no. So I would trade that. I wouldn't trade Josh Jacobs for. Actually, you know what? I think that's kind of a toss up. I think if you need the running back, trade Adams for Jacobs, or vice versa. If you need the receiver, I think that's totally fine.
So would you, if you're kind of rebuilding, don't expect to contend, would you give up Adams for the 201 right now?
No, I don't think so. I think his value will only go up. Like, I don't know how much, honestly, but I'd rather have a 2025 first where there's kind of a chance, like mid-season or, a month into the season in the 24 season. Like, I'm just assuming he's going to be the dude, and if you can get a first for him, I would do that. I think, honestly, like, it's not that far outside of the realm of possibility that, like, he's worth more than that, like, it's tough because he's still good, but he's obviously aging. And so, like, it's always like the conflict with these type of guys. But the fact of the matter is, if he was on your team this year, if you were a contender, it's like you definitely should have been starting him. So, tough.
Yeah, I will counter a little bit. I think you said his value is only going to go up.
I think that's kind of true. Yeah, sorry. Or I meant to say it. Yeah.
I think off season, that's basically true. Like, his value is either going to stay the same or go up, because they get a quarterback or something. But yeah, during the season, it could go down if he's just not performing. So we've seen, is Stephon Diggs is a guy like that. Like, is he done? But we've also seen Keenan Allen, who's I think older than Davante Adams, just put up like the wide receiver 3 overall points per game season. So I think he's slightly older. So he's definitely an interesting one.
If you
I would take any first for him though.
Yeah. I mean, Jaden Reed's like 5 spots ahead of him. It's like, if you could get Adams and a piece for Jaden Reed, I would do that in a heartbeat, honestly, just because I feel like the wide receiver room in Green Bay, like, there's no real, like, standout guy as of right now. We're going to need to see all these guys play healthy. Like, I think I'd rather do that because, I just think that Adams is going to be, I would not be shocked at all. Actually, honestly, I would bet on it that Davante Adams is probably going to be better than Reed in the fantasy-wise for this upcoming year.
But would you do the opposite if you're rebuilding the 201 and Jaden Reed for Adams?
Would I receive that for Adams?
Yeah, if you're kind of you're not expecting to compete in 2024, and someone says here's the 201 and Jaden Reed for Davante Adams, would you take that?
I probably would, and then I would try and trade Jaden Reed for something else. Also, is probably what I would try and do.
Yeah, no, I would do that too.
Yeah, just because of the perceived value of Reed, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Jacoby Myers, another tough one because he was on fire there with Jimmy Garoppolo, and then the quarterback change hurt him, but. He's had a couple games here and there. He's 27 years old. He's under contract. He's being valued as not even a barely a wide receiver, like a low-end wide receiver 4. I like that value for Myers. If I can, you got to make the move now before a quarterback change. So, I'd throw a mid to late third at him and get Jacoby Myers and hope there's a quarterback change and it's not Aiden O'Connell, and kind of take that risk. I don't know. He's a tough one for sure. I would take him over Dontavian Wicks, who's ranked 1 spot ahead of him. I don't know. Where are you at with Jacoby Myers, who was solid there for a while? Top 15 guy, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the guys that are ranked around him. It's like I would definitely rather have the couple of guys in front of him, like Jameson Williams, Ridley, Dotson. I don't know about Marquise Brown. I feel like that's kind of like the same thing. I think I'd rather have Judy. I don't know. It seems like he's pretty well placed in this list as wide receiver 45, but I don't know. I think he's kind of it's a little tricky. I was gonna say he kind of fits that category of he had the best season he's ever had, but actually it's his last 3 seasons, including 23, have been pretty similar. Obviously, it was the touchdowns is what changed. And so that kind of worries me a little bit. Like the only reason he was a little bit better, like I don't think he's going to be the number one guy on the Raiders or anywhere that he goes, which he doesn't have to be relevant. But I feel like I wouldn't sell him for anything less than, a mid to late second, which is kind of where I'm seeing him valued. And I think that's fair, especially if you're going to be rebuilding. It's like, yeah, you might as well just get out and get the pick kind of a thing. So I think he's kind of like that in between sort of player. But if you could buy him for a third, like a mid to late third, like you were saying, it's like, yeah, I would do that if I was a contender. I think he's a good like depth piece, but I'm not really banking on it necessarily. And I know that's not what you're saying, but
I mean, still finishes wide receiver 24. He averaged more points than DeAndre Hopkins, than Jordan Addison, two guys, especially with Addison, like, we were pretty high. People have generally a good view on. So I don't know. And that was with Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy Garoppolo and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's a solid player.
It's weird because like Aiden O'Connell kind of like you said, like he did like definitely affect his value. Like the chemistry wasn't there with them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. He still had, let's see, 3 solid games, 4 decent games, I guess. Like 1 decent, 3 solid games, but all the other ones in between. That's with O'Connell. Sorry, I didn't complete my sentence. But yeah, all the other ones were just really bad. So
I'd say 3 really good games for half PPR. If I'm getting 14.5 points, I'm happy. And he did that 17.1. If that was with O'Connell in week 12, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was. O'Connell started in week 9.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, he had a 17.1, 14.7, 20.1.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like he had 3 good games, and then I was kind of throwing in week 9, which was good enough, definitely like startable as like a wide receiver 3, but everything else was well below 10 points, or I don't know. It's just like those games hurt you so much when you're only getting 5-6 points from your flex or your wide receiver 3, and you probably weren't necessarily starting him that way. I mean, definitely as a wide receiver 3, but even like a low end number 2 is how people were viewing him.
I guess I just see Jacoby Myers as, I would still even with his Aiden O'Connell, I'd still put money on him being a usable asset, at least during bye weeks and stuff like that, right? A wide receiver 3 type of player. And then there is the boost of if they bring in another quarterback and something like that. So I guess that's kind of how I see him. I say, all right, he's still going to be usable, and he could get a good bump just by them doing this move, or even trading Devontae Adams. So, those are guys that maybe I want to target with my 3rd round pick or something like that. I don't think. What do you think the percentage is? Like, let's say O'Connell starts all games next year, and so does Jacoby Myers. Like, what do you think the chances are that he's even wide receiver, like 30 to 36? I think it's pretty slim. I think it's pretty good.
Okay,
I still think it's pretty good. Like, again, so you said O'Connell took over in week 9.
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers was wide receiver 25. There with a bye week in there, he averaged 10.4 points.
But was he what was he week 9 through 18 though? And that's kind of like
no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Week 9 through 18, he was wide receiver 25.
That's actually pretty surprising.
Yeah, and that's with the bye week. So he averaged as many points as Jamar Chase, more than Chris Godwin, more than Deontay Johnson, more than DeAndre Hopkins. So yeah, I mean, I still think it's going to be pretty good. Like. And assuming O'Connell gets a little bit better, So yeah, I think at worst he's like a wide receiver 3, in my opinion. Barring injury and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if we expect Devontae Adams to take a step back and not be his dominant self or something.
Nah, I don't expect that.
Yeah. So I don't know. I still think he can be pretty good. Hunter
Renfrow. Oh, no.
Yeah, he's a
No.
roster clogger at this point. I mean, Trey Tucker,
Yeah.
there's some slight upside there, I guess, because he was a rookie and he flashed like once or twice, but yeah, he's third round pick. He should be like on taxi squads type of thing. And not a whole. I mean, Michael Mayer, like he could still be really good. Like look at what Trey McBride did year 2, and Michael Mayer was the second, third tight end off the board, considered potentially as the top tight end. Between him and Kincaid, really. And then Laporta went over him, and we saw what that turned into. So he's still ranked as tight end 13. So people aren't really dropping him too much. So I don't know if there's a whole lot to talk about there.
No, I don't think the people who got Mayer are going to be trading him necessarily. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to say. I mean, you might as well throw it out there, I guess. Like, if you think what are they actually saying to even the trade, an early 25 second, like I would do that. Oh, I don't know how the hell they're determining early for 25. Like
yeah, you can't.
Based on what? Like so. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
There's some leagues where you can know, like, all right, this guy's gonna suck this year.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but look how that turned out in our league this year. It was going to be bottom 4 at least, bottom 3, and she went to the championship. So
yeah, but also like another team like Moses's team, I predicted to be a bad team, and they were. So like it goes back like it's not going to be 100%, but
they have them valued basically right as a mid 24 second, and it's like, well, I think that's kind of the same thing. It's like maybe just wait to see if he's bad this year and then try and trade for him or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. I think that's it. I think that is it. I'll be interested to see if they make a move for a quarterback. So that is it for the Raiders. Next up is the Saints, which is one of like the teams I just think has no identity whatsoever. But yeah, any last words here, Brian?
Boo Raiders.
Raiders suck. Super Bowl, they're playing the Super Bowl in their home stadium. They're just not attending. So
they're just not invited even. They're not even allowed to buy tickets.
Yeah. But we'll finish up there.
I don't have too much of an issue with the Raiders team. It's just more I would just like to harass because we have a lot of Raider fans in our friends and family. Not family, but just my mother-in-law is what comes to mind. But people I consider my family and stuff, very close friends, are a lot of Raiders fans. So yeah, we have to talk smack to them.
And they get so happy when they win back-to-back games and stuff. So
well, I know. Like I remember when they won their first game. I think it was 2 years ago, and like I think it was like they were like 1-4, and I was like just like, wow, I've never seen so many people happy for 1-4 or whatever it was. Like, or maybe it was 1-3. I don't know. I just like to. You got to dig at them for sure because they deserve it.
Indeed, yeah. It was 2021. They started off like 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. Wow. And then they finished 8-9. So,
wow, anyways. They actually had a 1 positive point differential. Like they scored 1 more point than was scored against them in this past year.
Well, they did put up 68 against the Chargers or something, so that helps.
Yeah, I guess that really does help. That's like literally like almost. That's like 15% of what they scored for the entire year or something. So,
yeah.
All right. Anyways,
we'll finish up there. We'll be back with the Saints. As always, like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys